Today, I want to look briefly at unlearning strategic thinking. The whole notion that we've been taught in business school is that strategic thinking is about competition. For me to get something, I have to take something from somebody else. It's about fighting. But there's a bigger space and greater opportunities lie in not competing, but in creating. Let's look back at 3 stories. The first 3,500 years ago, Moses, who led the Israelites out of enslavement in Egypt, in the wilderness, had about 2 million people. And being the lone strategist, it was overwhelming for him to resolve the issues and the problems that the people were having. Until his father-in-law said to him, why don't you use a hierarchical delegation of allowing other leaders to solve the smaller problems while you focus on the bigger ticket item and achieve your strategic point? And that was what Moses did. That was great strategy. The second is a very popular one, the Trojan horse, where the Greeks wanted to get in the city of Troy to destroy the city, but they could not find a way until they made this giant wooden horse and offered it to the Trojans as a gift and hid soldiers inside the horse. So in the night, the soldiers came out, opened the gates, and that led to the Greek victory. And the third is a well-known book, The Art of War, by a Chinese military strategist and general who is the summary, in my perspective, of this book was how to win without fighting. And that is early form of creation. Could that be part of the Eastern culture and philosophy that we need to learn in the West? And that is something that we need to think about. But there are 5 takeaways from the Art of War, which I'd like us to look at. The first is Sun Tzu posited that we should choose our battle. And he said, he who knows when to fight and when not to fight will win. And that is important. The second is timing is essential. He likened it to a falcon who scooped down on its prey. It's about the strike, that moment, that decisive moment when you grab the prey. And that is important. Timing is critical. The third point is the best way to beat the competition is not to fight. And he said to win 100 battles is not the height of skill. The height of skill is how to defeat the enemy without fighting. And that is crucial. The fourth point is change represents opportunity. Our greatest opportunity comes in the midst of change. During the midst of change and seemingly chaos lies the greatest opportunity. And if we see them and then we can strike, those are sometimes our best opportunity in life. And the final point, success breeds success. This lies in what I call the power of momentum. You get a train going, and a powerful train can clear the track and move objects. Success breeds success. On the heights of success, you can see other opportunity and create and seize them. Let's turn now to the Blue Ocean Shift. This is the second book in a series by Professor W. Chan Kim and Renee Marburn from the Harvard Business School. In 2005, they came out with the bestseller, The Blue Ocean Strategy, which was updated in 2015. But in 2018, they came up with this new book called The Blue Ocean Shift. The Blue Ocean Strategy would tell you what is the Blue Ocean Strategy. But the Blue Ocean Shift is about the how. These are tools. These are sharpened tools that we can apply to creating our own Blue Ocean Shift. And I'd like to recommend this to us to look at. The book actually speaks to 5 steps that you can create a Blue Ocean Shift. We're going to condense it in this little talk to 3 key steps. 2,000 years ago, there was this army who was facing their enemy. And the enemy had a secret weapon, and his name was Goliath. He was a giant. And the army that was facing the giant was very disturbed and did not know what to do. Because the challenge was, one man should come and fight this giant, and if they win, whoever wins would serve the other. So nobody would go because they saw it as a death sentence. This boy came along, and his name was David, who said, why don't we just take out this giant, this guy, because he's threatening us. His brother said, are you mad? Don't you see his size, how big he is? And he said, yes. And so he went and he got himself 5 smooth stones and a sling. They said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to kill him. And they said, are you mad? Don't you see his size? He said, yes, he's too big to miss. That is a Blue Ocean Shift. When we can see our obstacles and change it, transform it into opportunities. When you can see your greatest obstacle and change it into your biggest opportunity, that is the Blue Ocean Shift. And that I'm hoping that many of us would find a little bit of David in us. at the end of this. So, in essence, when times are bad, there are two decisions that we can. The first, we can continue to compete in the existing market space. We can continue to exploit existing demand. And we can choose between differentiation and low cost. Or we have an alternative decision to make. We can move away from the red oceans where the waters are bloody because fighting by the sharks over scarce meat, and swim to wide open blue ocean where we can create uncontested market space. We can create and capture new demand, and for sustainability we can achieve differentiation and low cost at the same time. That is, we can achieve our profit position and our value proposition at the same time. And this is where we want to focus our energies, how to exploit uncontested market space. So industry leaders tend to make two important assumptions. The first is that industry boundaries and conditions are fixed and you have to devise your strategy within them. And the second is that we have to choose between differentiation or low cost. We have to do the value cost trade-off, not to break it. But where we are going with Blue Ocean Shift, we want to rethink these assumptions, and because they are only a figment of the imagination, only a figment of our thoughts, and we can create uncontested market space by challenging these. There are three critical success factors in achieving a Blue Ocean Shift. The first is to have a Blue Ocean perspective. We have to have a mindset shift. A Blue Ocean Shift is a mindset shift. Let's use a simple example. If I was to ask you to close your eyes, to look around a room, look around in your space and identify all the red objects that you can, and then I say close your eyes, can you now recall all the yellow objects? It will be difficult because what we look for is what we see. The second, not just having Blue Ocean perspective or Blue Ocean mindset. The second, we have to have Blue Ocean Shift tools that we can use, critical tools in creating a Blue Ocean. And this is what the Blue Ocean Shift offers us. And the third point is having humanness in the process. What is humanness? Is to realize that every individual are tender at their core, and people are naturally afraid and fearful of change. And how can we take them along? So in humanness, there are three steps to this. The first is atomization, to break down the processes that they can enjoy simple steps, simple achievement, and see and track along as we make the progress. Not just atomization, but first-hand is challenge people to come along with the journey and to see the need for the change, not to impose upon them that there needs to be a change, for them to see on first-hand and discover the need for the change. And the third is fear process. Fear process involves three steps. The first, we have to engage people. Then we have to explain to them, and then we have to help to manage their expectation. And this will make the Blue Ocean Shift more palatable. So there are three ways in which we can create a Blue Ocean. The first, we can solve an existing industry problem that still persists. For example, when we had a challenge with storing music, the cassette was really a disaster. It would get twisted, it would get tied up, crackling, skipping. And then there came along the 8-track. And the 8-track was a much improved version of the cassette. The 8-track was welcome, but when the CD came along, it was much smoother. And not to mention, the MP3 destroyed the whole CD market. And that is when the CD came along and then the MP3 player, of course, it was a better replacement to solving an existing industry problem. The second is, how can we redefine an existing industry problem and solve it? And this is what happens with Active Fry. In the French fry market, with bloody red competition, it was very difficult, a cutthroat market. It was said that the only thing you can do with the French fry is to reduce the price. But Groupe Seb, a French company, decided to take a different look at the French fry market. They said, how can we challenge the industry assumptions? How can we create a French fry maker that does not use oil and does not use frying? And that the result was Active Fry. They use air fry, and they removed the oil from the frying, which was part of the hazard. It made the room stink, it smells the place. When the oil is hot, it's hard to dispose of. The cholesterol and the fats that it created. No wonder after, when Active Fry came out with the new product, Oprah Winfrey tweeted, I love my Active Fry, no one is paying me to say this, because now I can enjoy my French fry, less calories. And after her tweet, the stock price went up the following day by 5%. And the third point is, by creating and solving a brand new problem. It's not about just disrupting what is there, but it's non-disruptive creation. How can we solve a new problem identify a new opportunity. And this is what happened with Sesame Street. Sesame Street, which the beloved Muppet, did not disrupt an existing industry. It's a new form of edutainment that came in to entertain the kids while educating them. And this did not disrupt an existing industry. Similarly with Viagra. Viagra, which came to address erectile dysfunction, did not disrupt an existing market, but it seized and created a brand new opportunity. And again, life coaching, which is now the second fastest growing industry in America behind IT. And it did not disrupt an existing industry, but it's a brand new opportunity that was created. So it leads us now to the 3 steps, condensing the 5 steps into 3 steps in creating a blue ocean shift. The first is to understand, and to understand has 2 parts to it. We need to put a team together. Yes, because blue ocean shift is not a top-down strategy. It's one that you co-create with your team. It's putting that team together that will go along the journey, and that is critical. That's the first part of understand. The second part of understand is to what we call draw a strategy canvas. This is a 1-page pictorial that tells us the points on which industry competes and what value do the actual customers get, the consumers. And that is very important, because many times we got caught up in competing, we forget about the customers. The customers are crying out for something simpler, but we are giving them something more complicated and complex that they don't need. And that is important, because the blue ocean shift suggests a 4 actions framework. You're going to, what items now that we're offering that the customers don't want that we can eliminate, right? What factors that we can reduce, and then what factors we can raise, give them more of, and what new things we can create. And that part of creating is very important. So those are the 2 parts to understand. First, to put a blue ocean shift team together, and then drawing a strategy canvas. And the next step is imagine. Imagine starts with trying to identify the pain points. What are the pain points that the industry face? What are the pain points that the customers face? And if we can identify these and solve them, I guarantee you we can create a blue ocean. So it's very important, because the pain points are hidden opportunities. To look at the pain points, we have to re-examine industry boundaries and market space. And the second part of imagine is to look for non-customers. How can we find people and not know our customers? By redefining our market space and pull them in. And this is what, for example, Cirque du Soleil did. They were in the circus business, which was becoming very competitive. The animal rights, people were crying out, but it was expensive to move around with lions and tigers and elephants, and to get them in a different location, and to keep them, and to feed them, it was very difficult. So what they did, they eliminated the animals. They looked across the theater industry, pulled some of the best items from the theater that was not so costly. They created a storyline. They improved the venue, put in air-conditioned comfort, and they eliminated the things that the customers did not want. As a result, Cirque du Soleil created a new type of circus without animals, and they increased the price and attracted new customers. So they went for the non-customers, and that is critical. That's a critical part in Imagine. And the final step, first, remember we said the first step, we understand, which has 2 parts to it, which we have to put our team together, we create a strategy canvas. Then we imagine, which has 2 parts to it. We look for the pain points, and secondly, we look for non-customers. And finally, we now create. How do we create? This is what you call a 6-part framework that we can use, 6 ways of creating a blue ocean shift. One of them is to look across alternative industry and to create something new. So there are 6 ways of creating a blue ocean shift. Thank you.